Welcome back. You're watching the game. The NBA All-Star Weekend is right around the corner, and that also means we're about to witness the playoffs really soon. My co-host and NBA Philippines All-Star analyst Diego Dare will be telling us which players and teams should be on our radar. And spoiler alert, wala yung Jazz! Ano to?
Walang Jazz, pal.
Well, nasa Utah naman yung
Because
All-Star.
maybe you can talk about the Jazz, probably.
No one will care.
Okay.
Alright, okay. So simulan muna natin to a team that everyone cares.
Right.
The Lakers. The Lakers have been really interesting because of the trades that they made at the trade deadline. A lot of changes being made here. What should we watch out for when it comes to them? Apart from the inevitable drama that we always have every time someone takes an L.
Okay, more than the fact that our producer Ken is a huge Laker fan.
Yeah.
A lot of Pinoy fans are Laker fans.
That's
So
true.
I had to put the Lakers in here. And just for context, the Lakers need to win 16 out of their 24 games. Not to make the playoffs, but to make the play-in.
Wow.
So that's gonna be tough for the Lakers. But I saw their game earlier against the Pelicans.
Yeah.
And they look good.
They
With
look good, yeah.
LeBron James playing alongside the D'Angelo Russell, AD looking healthy,
Yeah.
with Beasley and Vando there. I think it's a good mix of great defenders, spot-up shooters, but I think more than anyone, it's D'Lo that really fits this Lakers team. Talking about him trying to shoot the basketball, he can space out. That's the main difference of D'Lo and Russell Westbrook when it comes to spacing the floor. But he can also create and take a few, creating opportunities from LeBron James.
Shout out to former Jasmine, Vanderbilt, and Beasley making the
They are
Lakers look
hooping.
good. They look good. And of course, the team that made the most noise is undoubtedly the Phoenix Suns. Win now mode, KD part of the mix, and everyone's going to hope that they get to rhythm soon. The question is, though, did they shoot too much of their bench depth to actually make a good run? Because this feels like a win now move.
Definitely, the Suns are trying to look to win now. They're currently fourth in the West.
Yeah.
So I think there's no doubt that they're going to make it to the playoffs. The only doubt here is, are they going to be healthy? KD has not yet played for the Phoenix Suns, but if they make it to the playoffs and KD, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and maybe put the Torrey Craig there, that might be the strongest lineup in the
Probably,
NBA
yeah.
right now if you take a look at the talent and on paper. But that's the reason why we say on paper, because we haven't seen them actually play together. But in terms of offensive firepower, that's gonna be tough. How do you even guard CP3, KD doing a ball screen, right? I mean, it's gonna be different.
Absolutely. Well, the game was never won on paper. It's always won on the court. And
course.
speaking about winning on the court, the Milwaukee Bucks have quietly been amazing. I'd say quietly because we're kind of used to them winning the way that they are. But then with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the rest of the Bucks finding their stride here as of late, you have to feel that they may be in the mix when all's said and done.
I mean, the Bucks are really looking good right now. They're second in the East, just trailing the Boston Celtics, although they have the same number of wins. The reason why Boston is number one because they have fewer losses compared to the Bucks. But when you take a look at this Bucks team, Drew just had a 40-point game, and Giannis is currently averaging 32 points, 12 rebounds, and almost 6 assists per game. It seems like they're peaking at the right time, and they're doing this with Chris Middleton in and out of the lineup. So I feel like they're learning how to play without that third star in Chris Middleton. Because remember, last season in the playoffs, when Chris Middleton was injured in the playoffs, it was a totally different Bucks team. But now they know how to play even without Chris Middleton, and they're beating tough teams with their lineup.
You take a look at the Bucks, and you mentioned Chris Middleton coming in and out of the lineup. Does this team still look like a championship caliber team to you, despite the fact that there have been, in and outs in the lineup?
I think so, especially when they're healthy. If this Bucks team peak at the right time in the playoffs, and especially with the matchups that they're going to be looking at in the East, I think the Bucks are going to be one of the favorites to make it maybe all the way to the finals.
Well, let's see. There's a lot of beasts in the East right now. And speaking of beasts, we have to talk about Nikola Jokic, a three-time MVP, question mark here. And of course, obviously Jokic is here because our producer, Rain, has probably slipped this in. We already had a Jokic body a couple of days ago just talking about his MVP credentials. But then you can't not talk about him, especially right now. He is one of the front runners for this MVP award. Question is voter fatigue. Do you believe it's going to be real? And of course, do you feel that Nikola Jokic could actually lead Denver to a further run in the playoffs?
Well, the thing with voter fatigue is the knack before was Jokic didn't lead his team to a lot of wins, or
Yeah.
maybe not all the way to the Western Conference Finals, right? But they're currently number one. The Nuggets
Yeah.
are currently number one in the West, and the numbers are different. Like no one's close to it. I think Jokic will be that three-time MVP if the Nuggets stay at that number one seed, and it's looking good with Murray back healthy, MPJ there. I think it's going to be a scary team, especially in the playoffs.
Well, we all know, though, unfortunately, for a lot of people who have been one seeds in the past, that
Correct.
does not necessarily mean
Yep.
nagagana yan sa playoffs.
Especially with the Lakers trying to keep.
Yeah,
keep in
Lakers
that
trying to
eighth
keep
spot.
up, and some of the other teams that are near the bottom actually are very good. So let's see what happens there. But of course, with Jokic leading the way for MVP, we mentioned Giannis a while ago, still giving chase. Jason Tatum quietly having, I'd say quietly now, but then his numbers are still incredible. And of course, Joel Embiid also
Right.
making a late push. Would you be surprised if any of those three suddenly overtake Nikola Jokic, or is Nikola Jokic really clear and dry the favorite for you?
I think if Giannis leads the Bucks to the number one seed in the East and try to overtake Boston, that might be a case for Giannis to win another MVP and overtake Jokic. But it's going to be tough because Jokic has been having an amazing, efficient season with all the numbers that he's been putting.
Yeah. So right now we have to. This is a strange talk point. Now that I think
Right.
about it, it says here, and napapaisip rin ako. Will the defending champs even make the playoffs this year? For the state of the defending champs, Jegs, can you explain to us why are we even entertaining this talk?
Well, it's funny that we're asking this question because the Golden State Warriors, as we mentioned, just won the championship last season, and they are now currently at, I think, 9th or 8th spot. And if you take a look at the numbers, their first five in Steph, Clay, all the other starters with Draymond Green in there, Kevon Looney, they are currently the number one starting unit in the whole NBA.
Yeah.
If they're healthy.
If
because
they're healthy.
Steph is not healthy.
That's a big question mark.
right now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, Pao, that the number one seed is not safe because
Yeah.
of this team. They're
Yeah.
still the defending champs for a reason, and they might actually face the Nuggets when they make it to the playoffs.
I want to fix the asterisk here because the playoffs, do you mean they get into the play-in or they make it past the play-in and then into the playoffs? What
I
is
think-
playoffs for you? Does a play-in count as playoff?
I think the play-in counts as a playoff. I think though they're gonna make it to the 8th spot, which is still part of the play-in.
Yeah.
They have to play that 9th spot.
Yeah.
So I think if Steph Curry makes it on time for the Golden State Warriors, this is gonna be a scary team in the playoffs.
If we're going to consider the play-in as a playoff, I think they're in. But then if you're going to consider the playoff as after the play-in,
Right.
that is a bigger
and they
question.
also have the number of the Denver Nuggets. So
Yeah.
this is gonna be tough. It's
So
really
we'll
gonna be
see.
tough.
We'll see. A lot of questions to be asked and a lot of that happening after the All-Star break. That's happening in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. And of course, you have a few friends there. We're going to hear from them hopefully really soon as well.